Yeah. Everyone ready?
Yeah, I started the recording.
All right. So, prompt one: Can and should we build ethical robots? We have a discussion about whether or not you think robots can be autonomous moral agents. Can we program a robot to make ethical decisions and have ethicality? If yes, how do you teach robots right and wrong? If no, is it impossible to make a robot that has ethical reasoning skills, or is it undesirable to do so, or both?
Sounds like
So,
you got to start.
yeah. So, the can is yes, you can make them, but as to the should we, it should be more or less you should build it if it's a situation with which ethics is needed. So like those tiny little robots you see on like the floors of like Amazon warehouses, it's a
Mhm.
situation which isn't needed to have like ethics in a robot because it's just gonna follow lines and deliver packages to certain points. But when it gets to a like from the example from one of the week 9 videos, it was like a humanoid robot, and like a Wally-esque robot have to like do the trolley problem. You have to have ethics into a robot there in order for it to kind of reason why it chose to do something. So like it could have the ethical thing of, well, I chose to do the one where the most good was done, in which saving 4 lives instead of and costing one type of
Right.
deal. So that can only be done in like specific situations with ethics is needed.
Right.
No, I definitely agree. This was definitely a tough one because I feel like there's a lot of middle ground here.
Oh yeah,
Um, like,
a lot of
so,
comparability.
yeah, like I mean, I'll go ahead just because I started talking, but I have a hard time understanding sometimes like how these things work, like robots and AI and algorithms and stuff. So it's hard for me to see these. I mean, obviously the classwork is so that we can understand what's the connotation, but um, I would say I would agree. Can we? Yes. I don't know how, and I wouldn't be able to give you an answer how. I think it's definitely possible, given just technology in general. Um, if no, or I'm gonna go with the no and then justify that. But I don't think it's impossible. Like I said, it is like we can do that. But I think it is undesirable, and I see what you're saying in certain contexts where we may need to do that. But to me, I don't feel this. Maybe this is a strong opinion. I don't know, but to me, I don't feel that robots or AI should be making decisions that we would need to then implement some sort of ethical reasoning inside their own inner workings to then make that decision. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think robots or AI should get to that point where they're making decisions that have super heavy effects, super heavy adverse effects. They may change this or that. Like, I mean, it kind of goes back to the algorithm that we talked about. Like, they should. I think we all agree that they shouldn't. They shouldn't. An algorithm or a robot shouldn't be deciding who a uh, reoccurring criminal is because of the information we were given. And I think it kind of comes back to this is, I guess I would love for one of you guys to give me an example where a robot with ethics programmed into it where it can make these decisions is necessary. Because to me, I don't feel that they're necessary because I think humans are able to do
Tesla
that.
driving cars, autonomous cars.
Are they though? Are they
No,
necessary
that's
then?
where it's necessary to have ethical reasoning, other than
Yeah.
an emergency like
But I guess
person to
what is a
take over the car.
Tesla? What decision is or the robot in the Tesla going to be making?
Kill
Well,
the driver or kill the person it's going to hit.
I
I
guess
just
I mean, I like that
yeah.
example, and I know that we had talked about that in a previous class period, but I don't. I mean, are we? Is there ever going to be a world where that's actually going to be possible?
Oh yeah,
Because
yep.
It's probably
Real soon.
yeah.
Give
Not
it
that not that
five
even that
years, no
far.
joke.
I mean, I
Within
guess
the next decade.
I can understand that. I just have an issue with thinking that like a machine can make that heavy of. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just feel like that shouldn't be. I
Y-
personally don't think that that should
Yeah,
be.
yeah. I'm with you. I'm with
but
you.
especially they can make the decisions faster than humans can, which is the only benefit. Is that in like an accident situation, Tesla's like automation would be able to determine whether the driver is going to survive or the other thing it's hitting is going to survive.
But I guess
With
if
a car.
Tesla gets to that point, I would never ever give my money to a Tesla, because then the Tesla in any, like, let's just say I'm like, oh, I want to test out the automatic driving feature. This is going to be sick. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I predict, the Tesla's like, I'm going to predict that there's going to kill 8 people, so I'm going to just fucking kill you right here. And like that's where I have an issue, because I'm like, why does why does that have the ability to I mean, I get that either way in that situation someone's gonna die, but that to me is super whack. Like
It is
super
pretty bad. It is
that's
really-
all. I appreciate that. It's good for me to like conceptualize. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I was thinking about it was like if someone like pulls out in front of you and it's automatically driving forward, because there's idiots who pull out in front of speeding cars all the time.
oh yeah.
And so either the Tesla can like go to like the back of the car, and then the driver's side will hit the like brunt of like the car that pulled out, or it can turn into the driver's side and then save you but hit the driver head on.
Right.
But it's the driver's fault. Like the
Right.
driver's fault for pulling out.
Right.
So I wouldn't want to die, because
Yeah.
like a human would probably just like straight on T-bone and be like completely straight, but
well, and there's
like I feel
also-
like a driving car could like turn a little bit.
I agree. I also think though, like, if you're going to program like an AI or something like that into like that situation right there, to me, that's when the AI should be like, I'm done. Put your hands on the wheel and figure out what's going to happen, because
Right.
Yeah.
that should be your responsibility.
Yeah.
You bought the car. You're driving the car on a fast road. You chose to put it in an automatic driving mode. You then shouldn't be sleeping. You shouldn't be gaming. You shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
stupid. You should be ready for when that dude cuts you off, that you put your hands on the wheel. And I think they have a thing where every like 20 minutes you have to put your or like 10 minutes you have to put your hands on
Probably.
the wheel or something.
I
like
hope
that.
so. That'd be
Yeah.
or
But
or
that,
time,
yeah,
like wake the hell up.
that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the quicker. I mean, I agree with you, but it kind of
Yeah.
defeats the purpose of the whole like quick reaction time of
Yeah,
robots, right?
Right.
But I think eventually it probably will be possible. Like going back to the prompt, I think it could be possible, not in the near future, probably past our lifetimes, that robots get ethical reasoning.
Yeah.
Because given the state of deep learning AI right now, if that goes any further, it's going to be even whacker.
No, I guess I would need to do a ton of research on deep learning AI to understand, like, to fully have
Oh, it's pretty cool.
a good understanding. But
But then
from
that
what
goes
I-
back to
yeah, go ahead.
how do we teach robots right from wrong?
And that's where I got it. I read this I read it the other day, and then I read this prompt like right before we got in this, and I was like, this is going right back to the algorithms, dude, because it's being fed by, well, the array of things, but it's like how are we really going to do this? But I'm curious, like, Peter, do you and Mohammed, either of you guys have?
Mohammed,
I
is
mean,
your mic? Headset
what's up?
camera not working?
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my camera,
Okay.
sadly. So
Okay.
yeah, but for this prompt, so I kind of disagree with you guys. Like, I don't think we can actually make a ethical, because
That is
I don't
impossible.
think, yeah, it is because we will never know if it's ethical, because we ourselves don't really have like our own set of like ethical reasoning
True.
rules, right?
Yeah.
Like, what can you teach how can you teach like or develop something that's ethical if you yourself don't know what is ethical?
No, I
Or-
completely
Yeah.
agree.
Or even with that, like, even if we like, oh, we have built this perfect machine, we give it completely unbiased information, how do we know if that's like completely unbiased information is what is ethical?
Right.
Yeah.
What
no,
if it gave like options? If it's like,
Yeah.
oh, are
that's what I
you
was gonna say.
are you this culture, and like, are you from this part of like where
They
from?
should
Like,
just-
if it like can
Yeah.
scan your whole past history, and it's like this would be ethical for you.
that's where I'm in agreement with you, Connor, is at some point in time I could see, not in our lifetime, maybe at the end of our lifetime, that it can get to that point. But I completely agree with Mohammed, because you are always going to have somebody who's
Yeah.
going to disagree with you. no matter if you say all of the facts are there, everything's perfect, someone will find a way to hate on what you're doing. And it's
And-
the same thing.
They,
Yeah.
they should give
Um,
every owner the trolley problem, and then they
Yeah.
program the car
Yeah, yeah.
based off your trolley problem.
I
Based
feel like
off
robots,
of that.
robots right now might actually have some better ethics than some people that
Agreed.
exist.
Agreed.
I mean, but the second part as well. So
And,
like
and
even
yeah.
oh sorry.
Well, you keep going.
Okay, so as we talked about it, like, oh, who gets to develop what culturally or whatever. But for the second part, it's like, is it desirable? So, like, completely unbiased. Completely, it is like cultureless. It is just pure law and justice and ethics, and it would be very undesirable. I'm just saying because it is. Oof.
I think it's
I think-
undesirable to us, but if you
Yeah.
because of the way you just put it, like law and crime and things like that, if you put it in that perspective, I think it actually could be super desirable for a certain subset of people, being like police officers, the military, blah blah blah, because if in their minds, like, I mean, I don't know, I'm not going to get deep in this, but I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what the government does and what they're doing with like the military and stuff. I don't think, whatever, that's
Yeah.
just a very small opinion. I don't want to get into it, but those dudes are going to take, those people are going to take those things, those AIs that can do, like, you know, fully unbiased. They might be MPs, you know, like they're fully evaluating cases that they can just no bias. This is right. This is wrong. I feel this person should be whatever.
Like, for it doesn't even have to go that way. Like, I think
No,
if
I
it
know.
was just if it
But
just
it's-
had to weigh it out, like it'll probably deem us like criminals. Like we're just sitting here right now in our homes, probably like
Yeah.
while everybody's suffering. It's like, oh, this is not ethical. We could have shared what we have, and
Oh, that's such a good point. Holy cow.
like, yeah. So it would kind of go against human nature in a way, right?
Totally. I think the undesirable thing is the better prompt of these, or the better question out of these,
Yeah.
because I think it's both. I think there are certain ways that it would be very desirable, and certain places, like, I think we all, or most of us, agree, like, it's not desirable.
Yeah. I guess
Are
that's it.
true human morals and ethics even 100% possible for a
Yeah.
human to follow?
It's not. It's
Not
not.
really, no.
Yeah.
But that's why I like what Muhammad said. I fully agree. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible, and I don't think that you're going to ever you're never going to satisfy
Right.
everybody,
If
ever.
humans can't do it, robots probably will.
Exactly.
For a
It's
while.
such a sad reality too.
Yeah.
We will never get there. We will never
Man.
get there. In our lifetime, maybe the next one. We're not going to get there.
I don't think it will ever, because like
Yeah.
if it's gonna be completely ethical, completely equal, like some utopia, I don't think it's even gonna be Homo sapiens anymore. Like, it's gonna be some evolved form of us that
Squirrels.
is like
Right.
we're all part of like a connective hive mind. That's the only
Exactly.
way.
Yeah.
Like, as long as I'm Muhammad, you're Kai, and there's Connor,
Bro,
there's
We're already
nothing
part of a
over there.
hive mind, bro.
Peter, what have you got to say on this?
How close do you guys think we can get to it? Because like you seem to think it's really just impossible, right?
Yeah.
But like eventually we'll have the technology, right? I just don't
Yeah,
see
that's what I'm
how
saying.
we don't get to a point where we create something close to humans that can think like humans, that can make their own decisions like humans with all data that they have.
Well,
Even
but
if
let's
it-
say human does the trolley problem, and other human, I do the trolley problem, and you are judging me for my decisions because you would do it the complete opposite, and then you replace me with a robot. You're still going to disagree with those same exact decisions that he's making, and
But
like, in your mind, how is that perfectly ethical? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're
It's
finding
not perfect.
yourself disagreeing with it, even though it's been made like, hey, here's how he does the trolley problem. Let's just say, for this example, it's utilitarian, like AI. It's greater good for the, or, you know, whatever, greater good. But you're like, nah, I see many other reasons why this shouldn't be this way in this particular situation. You're already disagreeing with that that AI or that thing that was already deemed like ethical and is able to make ethical decisions. So yes, it may be making ethical
Yeah, but
decisions.
you can disagree with a human making that decision too. It's
Well, I guess,
just
but that's my point.
yeah, but the thing is, because we read stuff about how. Do you think robots will be at the same level as humans at all? And then you have to get to the point then, can they make the same decisions humans can in relation to these ethical problems? Because you talk about how um, robots may have rights if we ever get to that
Right.
point where they can be as close to humans as possible. Then at what point is it they're not robots? It's like the personhood and the once they reach that personhood thing, can they make ethical decisions like we can? With that,
So I
We can just
thought,
flow into prompt 2 right now too,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
going
sure.
right there.
You guys
well, I
want me to
just
read
thought
it?
really, hold on, one more, sorry, I just thought of this
You could.
because of what Peter said. But the prompt is technically asking if they can make the ethical decisions, and I think that yes, they
Yeah.
will be able to make ethical decisions.
Right on.
Whether we agree with those ethical decisions or not
Yeah.
is the actual problem.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
apologize. I was getting caught up in like they need to be the right decision.
They
but
need to
there
be
is no right or wrong.
perfect.
Right. But
Yeah.
They
so,
can't
so
make
yes, they
perfect
can.
decisions.
But yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah,
So that's
I
yeah,
get that. Like, we have that with humans. Like, I
right.
disagree with plenty of people on what their view of the trolley problem would be, or like, but there's a certain number of options that they have, and as long as we deem everything like somewhat ethical, like we,
Within reason.
yeah, within
Yeah.
reason, then there shouldn't be too much of a debate between that. I also think that if the robot can, if it has an owner of some sort, like the car or whatever, they should be able to choose the ethical decisions they make if it's possible that they
So we're,
can.
we're going into like Star Wars and droids then. That's
It's gonna be
that's what's going
C3PO
on.
soon.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
it's gonna have like emotions programmed into it,
Yeah, translate 1,000 languages.
reasoning.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, it better know all the languages.
yeah, exactly. I didn't buy it for no reason. Andrew, do you want to do prompt 2?
Sure. So, can and should robots have rights? So, if you agree with that, on what grounds should they have rights? If you don't, do you think that inhumane or violent treatments of robots is ethically justifiable?
Which
So-
that's so heavy right there.
Yeah. So,
This is I have some
Yes.
heavy thoughts on this.
they should have rights,
Okay.
but not to the same extent as humans. So I'd say to the same extent as animals, and then have like some asterisk cases for certain things.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So-
Agreed.
So like if you have like a communications robot, right, that's able to like communicate with things, and it gets like assaulted, for example, and it's like an aid to someone, it should have legal grounds to defend itself in the court of law. But I don't think that certain robots would need them, like non-thinking ones.
Like
don't
Alexa.
need yeah, like an Alexa, for example. But like definitely the ones which interact with people more. So like a medical robot, for example, like if it's ethically thinking, it can't force a person to take its medication. But if it tries to and it kills the person, the robot should be held responsible. But if it doesn't, the robot shouldn't be held responsible, or should be able to have legal action taken against it, or
Is-
whatever seemed deemed reasonable due to it having its rights.
Yeah, I like that.
is
Connor,
the-
you said you had some issues with this.
Yeah. Well, after watching the Why We Have an Emotional Connection with Robots
Yeah.
TikTok, it got me thinking pretty deeply, especially when she started talking about like the baby dinosaurs as pets, like the baby robot dinosaurs she gave people, and then if then like people started feeling empathy towards the robots, so they couldn't harm them with like the fake weapons and stuff. So at that point, you can say that humans can develop empathy towards robots, just like you can towards like animals that aren't as intelligent as humans, or can't like express the same understanding of concepts as humans. And then she got to the point of if you would harm a robot, you would be more likely to harm an animal or a human.
Yeah.
And so at that point, you can say, well, I mean, you can learn from it. I feel like
I agree.
because then you can start relating robots to pets, and then then there's like going to be robot activists, like pet activists and like
That's a-
animal activists.
That's a very good point. I was. Can I backpack, or are you still talking?
Yeah, go on.
Okay,
go on.
okay. So that's a really good point. I was going to bring that up because I read the prompt again. Like, if yes, on what grounds do you think they should? Like, I think absolutely in some aspects they 100% should. If they are furthering society in any way, they're benefiting anybody in any way, then yes, they should have some sort of base level, just like you and I have basic human rights. Obviously, that's a big topic. But do you think we should treat them humanely? Yes. Do you think we should not enslave them or treat them violently? That's where it gets hard, because if per se there's a group of people that say, all right, we're going to start building robots to be our slaves, they're going to start doing the work for us, you're going to have people out there that have either developed empathy toward these things or feel that they are participating in society, therefore they should have a say, maybe not a voice, but someone to speak up for them. They're going to come out and they're going to be like, hey, this ain't cool. So I think if it gets to this point, someone is bound to do this. Someone is bound to take advantage of robots. I think it's already happening. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in more severe ways. But that they should have rights in the sense that someone can take over and be like, hey, that's not cool. This shouldn't happen because they're doing X, Y, and Z or whatever it is.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Because I feel like this whole prompt is a trap. Is absolutely a trap. So throughout the past few weeks, through this class, we've developed like that. These like we've debated their personhood. We've just debated them being ethical. We've debated like them having robots having emotions. So at this point, like we try to equate it with the animal rights, but I'm not, because I like dogs have right, like animals have rights, but I'm not like when I'm with an animal, I'm not concerned about I'm enslaving it or what am I talking like it's not gonna make ethical decisions for me. Or
Right.
like I'm not concerned about its emotions, but the robots we're talking about, we've already developed like they're capable like of near human levels of emotion. So
You aren't concerned about your animal's emotions.
I was just going to say that.
like bro, like I'm not concerned about my dog being sad after getting a shot, bro.
Really?
Like,
what? Like
Really?
like
what?
it's for,
Wait.
so you don't die, bro. It's so he doesn't die. Like he doesn't know.
But like, you could still comfort him and be like, "Hey, man, it's all good."
Yeah,
You got
but
shot.
like
That's
I'm
the
not
hurt.
gonna be like, man, I'm not gonna be like, okay, don't get the shot. Like it's your emotions, bro. Like if he's gonna be depressed after a shot that saves his life, like it's a dog. Basically, it's not. It's basic. Like I'm not.
And
Man.
this is where my heavy stuff comes in.
Yeah.
Is to where if you can argue that, then if you're like goes into pro-life, pro-choice,
Yeah.
then you can argue that a fetus isn't a human or isn't a person at least.
Because it can't make its decisions for itself.
Yeah.
But
Similar to AI.
yeah,
So you
but
can compare AI to a fetus.
no, hey, honestly,
What?
I completely think that that's a valid argument, because those are things you have to consider. Because
Right.
with one of those, you have people that start to think about those implications, and someone like,
Are we just to clarify? Are we talking about robots in a sense like nowadays or in the future?
In the
In
future.
the future. In the future, definitely.
Well,
That's fine, but like,
Peter.
I told you it's heavy. I told you
yeah,
it's heavy. I'm not
I
too
think-
serious about it. I'm not,
But look-
I'm not like this is
do we think
No,
of
no, no,
more
totally.
robots.
just
Oh,
the
sorry.
robots in my like? I keep thinking you're talking about these rights and stuff that happen. Like in my head, people like own these robots. There's some ownership because they buy the product or whatever, right?
You own children
So
until
is
they're
it,
18.
Yeah.
I don't want to compare it to that right now.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you
I'm
you
right.
have
Like
you
I'm
have
just
to,
trying to
you're
get
talking
a
about
point
rights.
across.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
children.
No, but like I keep thinking more of it as property rights than
Yeah.
like close to human or animal rights. It's like this is someone's property more than anything else. And then you get to the point where we thought of that in what the 1800s. We thought of that of slaves. So I don't know
Right.
how we're going to think about
Well,
robots in the future.
Well,
Exactly.
So I
exactly
can't.
it.
Because
If
like the
you-
robot, we own the robot. It's metal. It's machine. It's a machine. It's not a fucking human.
See,
So
Right.
I
Peter?
can't.
The problem.
So I'm thinking of it's more property rights. It's more. I don't think I should destroy or hurt someone else's property. Like I'm not trying to destroy their car or their house or anything. So like I'm not trying to destroy their robot. So that's
But
their
what
right.
about
That's the human right to own more of property than the robot's right.
so what
Ro-
happens when the robot gets really pissed off that you called it your property and that it's not its own
Then
entity?
I have no clue. No, I
Uh,
like it's just I
So
don't know how autonomous we're talking about. Like I still don't
I think
can't
for the most
comprehend.
part we are talking pretty theoretical. So
Yeah,
man,
because like I
uh,
can't really wrap my head around that. Because like I'm thinking of an assistant robot type thing that'll
Okay.
just that'll move, that could go get pills for you or go get you drink like
yeah.
you're an elderly person. Like that's a machine to me. That's if you destroy it, it's more on the property rights of the elderly man or the people who own it than the robot.
but if you
'Cause the
destroy it and that old man dies because you destroyed it,
and that's
then what?
I mean that.
that's different in
Yeah.
my head.
That is different. Yeah.
That's you. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a comparison with that because that's you hurting. That's you hurting the elderly man, not hurting the robots. Like you would be tried with. I don't know.
Do me a favor and on your free time, watch the YouTube video I posted in chat.
Uh,
The link. It's an AI
This is-
GPT-3 that I mean it's an AI. You just gotta watch it to believe it, man. This AI. I mean, this is the moment I was like, AI could borderline be.
I have seen most of that video.
uh,
It
Oh.
is pretty insane.
I'm GPT-3, and this is my avatar.
It's scary.
It's wild. But Peter, I do understand where you're coming from. I don't want you to feel alone in that because this is a super weird grounds to tread. And I think that because we're thinking very theoretical, it's very easy to detach from what we're actually talking about.
If it gets anywhere close to being human, then I can see it getting close to human rights type thing.
Right.
But like,
mhm.
I will never think of it as not just fucking metal. It's
No, and
metal
I
and
think-
a program. It's
Totally.
not a human. It'll never be a human to me. It'll never
I
be
can-
close to an animal to me. Like it'll get close, but it won't be equal to an animal to me.
I mean,
It's-
I understand a lot of times, like one of the studies on the trolley problem is like where that disconnect comes into play. And I think I told you guys in the very beginning, but like there's the one where you are physically pushing someone, and then there's one where you're pulling a lever. And it's much easier to make decisions when you're pulling the lever. You've got that sort of disconnect. To me, in this situation, when it's metal, when it's a machine, we're looking at it as the disconnect. Whereas you turn it into the human rights aspect of those machines, then that's when you get tricky, and that's where those ethical decisions become difficult.
So I have a question. You remember the kids in that article that were messing with that robot? At
yeah,
all? Okay. So if you were an adult, like managing, like taking care of the kids, and the kids started messing with it, would you say stop messing with that robot? It has you're hurting its feelings, or you're saying stop messing with that someone's property? Stop messing like how is it? Stop messing with that robot, or stop messing with that someone's robot?
Connor.
I would say, would you do that to a person? Why are you hitting it? What's the point?
Well, okay,
Right.
would you do that to a person or would you do that to someone's car? Like I'm trying to get to the point. Like,
Would you do that to someone's
Yeah.
would
But I
you
guess- yeah,
would you
that's-
would you try to hurt someone's car or some other
I-
sort of machinery, or is it that equality of would you
Yeah.
whatever
that to
Connor
someone's
said,
baby.
I forgot. Yeah, babies.
No, but I think I want to go back to a point Kai made earlier. Like, what if a robot it's pissed about ownership, right? Like, I think it's very clear cut at that point. Like,
Then
if it
we-
is capable of being pissed about being owned, then yeah,
then the
because-
robots rise to power.
guys. I know I don't want to put this on us, and I don't. It's really heavy, and this is not on us, but I really can't help but like relate this to like 1800s race relations.
Yeah, that's my.
Like I'm
that's my
sure
yeah.
they had these debates about like should they,
did,
have
they-
rights?
Should
One
we
of the
should we
articles
beat
said
our
that.
slaves? Is that all right?
Yeah.
No, but to be honest,
If you saw your
if,
kid beating a slave with a stick,
yeah.
if robots started saying stuff like that and like actually started thinking like that, then I get to the point of like, okay, these guys are close to animals, close to humans now. Maybe we have to change our thought process on this. Right
I think-
now,
and
I
think-
can't comprehend anything like that. But if it ever
And I
gets
think
to that
we all
point,
agree.
Yeah.
then yes, there's some way of getting them equal to humans in rights wise.
what if the robot said "ow" when you hit it?
I mean, they say
I don't
how
care.
you can do that now.
That's a bit different.
Yeah.
That can be a fucking program. So
I
don't
think
know.
like I'm starting to like really like this is bad because I'm sorry like when I hear about all the people like when I hear about slavery I'm like why did the other people not do anything? That was literally the limit of I realize that was literally the limit of their what they knew.
yeah,
right?
I can't.
Right,
I don't
right.
want to be
So-
like that. I don't want to be.
Yeah, and this is the limit of what we know, right?
Right.
Like I'm sure if we
But-
saw like a robot like
My-
being human, right?
My thing
Ah.
with that is, like, slaves were humans in the sense of they were the same. They had the same. They had skin. They had blood. They had all that shit. And then you have a machine that's just metal.
It's it's
Right.
different, but it's also very
It's
like,
similar,
it's
yes.
still it's still
Yeah.
in the ground up like
no,
I
I
get-
get. I
I
get
I
it. But,
understand.
like, there's still
I
that.
understand.
There's still right now a difference.
right.
yeah, right?
But I get
And I
that
can't-
disconnect. That makes sense. Like that's a very like I also would associate myself in the same way. Like it is very hard for me to disconnect from the fact that they are a piece of metal with a chip versus a living, breathing person with a heart. So I totally get that. I think we're all in agreement where it's like we're in like right now era, it's a hard discussion. But I think if we fast forward 150 years and let's just say our kids of our kids of our kids are like playing with robots and that's the normal thing, then I agree. I think you're right. That's when you have to start having like conversations in your head and with other people. Like, what do we do with this? I don't know.
I think eventually there will be humans alive who don't have like functioning human hearts, biological
Yeah.
hearts, and then there's going to be like completely autonomous humans who have like a human brain, and then the only thing human in them is going to be their brain, and then
Right.
that gets into like deep learning, and then deep AI learning. It's starting to get into like neural networks.
Right.
And that's actually how the brain works is through neural networks. And so if you can simulate how a brain makes neural networks and forms memories and stores information in a computer, then you made an artificial brain. And
Yeah.
that's all that humans are.
True.
The brain.
No,
Well,
yeah,
then,
and like
fine.
you have to. Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
it's,
Fine,
I'm
that
not like,
works.
I'm not, I mean, like it's, but like, not like right now, because we don't have completely biological humans who are like without a heart. But I mean, there are fake hearts, aren't there?
There are.
There
Yeah.
are. Yep.
Yeah, and
For
like I
different
think
stages.
that's a good point. I don't think that necessarily like an organic like heart or an organic brain should dictate whether those persons. That wasn't the point I wanted to make. But it's a good thing to like
What really makes a
differentiate.
human?
Yeah. I
Well, yeah,
think
because we talk about
uh,
personhood though,
yeah.
and like that's
it will be a redefining, like as because
This is so
racialization will
cool.
redefine like human beings, like the differences. I think it will redefine like human beings again. Like
Completely
basically,
agree.
it's just gonna be like information, basically
I
at
agree.
some
No,
Wait
point.
and see.
100%.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to get so intense, by the way.
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
no,
It's
no,
a
I-
heavy
Matter.
subject.
I like that you added that in though because to me it helps people think. Like it helps you really realize like, okay, maybe I shouldn't think like that. Like
5 seconds,
maybe
boys.
yeah.
Apologize. I'll see
Love
you.
Alrighty.